One day before Christmas, Mom stood in the kitchen, stirring a pot of cinnamon spiced tea and smiled in that way that always meant something unexpected was coming. "Your sister's friends are staying with us for Christmas," she said casually, as if she were announcing that we'd run out of sugar. I froze with my phone in my hand. Friends as in how many? She shrugged. "Just a few, they don't have anywhere else to go." In our family, just a few could mean anything from two people to a small army. By evening, I found out the truth. They arrived in 3 taxis. 7 people stepped out into our driveway, bundled in coats, dragging suitcases, laughing loudly, their breath turning into white clouds in the cold air. My little sister, Aisha, rushed out to greet them, squealing like it was the best surprise in the world. Meanwhile, I stood in the doorway, calculating in my head how many chairs we owned and how many plates were in the cupboard. Our house wasn't small, but it wasn't built for surprise Christmas guests either. Every year, Christmas was a carefully planned routine: Mom cooking, Dad pretending to help, me setting up the tree lights, and Aisha playing Christmas music on repeat. Quiet, warm, predictable. This year, it was about to turn into chaos. The first to enter was Sarah, tall and cheerful, with a laugh that filled the hallway. Behind her came Lena, shy and soft-spoken, clutching a small gift bag. Then there was Mark, who looked uncomfortable, like he didn't quite know where to put his hands. 2 more girls followed, twins named Hannah and Hira, constantly whispering to each other. Last came Daniel, carrying an old guitar case, his eyes tired but kind. Mom welcomed them all as if they were long-lost relatives. Come in, you must be freezing. Take off your shoes, make yourselves at home," she said, already reaching for extra slippers. Dad raised his eyebrows at me from behind them, clearly just as surprised, but he smiled anyway. In our house, once Mom decided someone belonged, there was no arguing. Over tea, the story slowly unfolded. Sarah explained that their university dorms had closed early. Some of their families lived far away and flights were too expensive. A few had complicated home situations they didn't want to return to for the holidays. Aisha had casually invited them weeks ago, thinking it would be fun, and Mom, instead of hesitating, had simply said yes. "You can't let young people spend Christmas alone," Mom said softly, "especially when you have room in your heart, even if the house feels small." That night, we rearranged furniture, pulled out old mattresses, and turned the living room into a makeshift dormitory. The house buzzed with unfamiliar voices and laughter. At first, I felt like an outsider in my own home. But something strange happened. As the hours passed, the noise didn't feel annoying anymore. It felt alive. The next morning, Christmas Eve, the kitchen turned into a battlefield. Flour dusted the counters, the oven hummed nonstop, and everyone wanted to help at the same time. Hannah and Hira argued about how much sugar to put in the cookies. Mark burned his first batch and apologized 100 times. Daniel quietly fixed a broken chair without being asked. At some point, I noticed Lena sitting alone near the window, staring outside at the falling snow. I brought her a cup of hot chocolate. "You okay?" I asked. She smiled faintly. "I've never had a Christmas like this before. At home, it's always tense, loud in the wrong way." I understood. Not all families were warm the way Christmas movies showed. For some, the holidays only made old wounds feel sharper. That evening, we decorated the tree together. The guests brought their own small ornaments, each with a story. Sarah hung a tiny wooden star her grandmother had carved. Daniel placed a cracked silver bell that had belonged to his father. Lena had a simple paper angel she made as a child. By the time the lights were switched on, the tree wasn't just ours anymore. It was a patchwork of memories from different lives, all glowing together. On Christmas morning, the house woke up early. Someone started playing music in the living room, and the smell of coffee and toast filled the air. The twins were already whispering excitedly, and Aisha was bouncing around, trying to keep the tradition of opening gifts in order. We sat in a big circle, knees touching, passing around wrapped packages. Some were small and simple, others clearly last minute. But when Lena opened a scarf Mom had knitted overnight, she covered her mouth, eyes shining. "No one ever made something just for me before," she whispered. Mark received a book Dad had chosen, one he said had helped him during a difficult time in his own youth. Daniel was given new strings for his guitar, and he strummed a soft tune that filled the room with warmth. Then it was Mom's turn. She tried to protest. "You all are the guests, you shouldn't have." But they insisted. They gave her a framed photo they'd secretly taken the day before, Mom in the kitchen, laughing, flour on her cheek, looking exactly like what she was home. She held the frame to her chest, unable to speak for a moment. After breakfast, we went for a walk in the snow. The world outside was quiet, white, and peaceful. For once, no one was rushing. No one was checking the time. We threw snowballs, took photos, and laughed like children. That afternoon, Daniel finally told his story. His father had passed away the previous year, and Christmas had been his favorite time. Going home now felt unbearable. The guitar had been his father, and playing it was the only way he felt close to him. Mom listened without interrupting. When he finished, she simply said, "Then this year you're part of our family. Your father's memory is welcome here too." He looked away, but his eyes were wet. As evening fell, the house glowed with warm light. Dinner was loud and joyful, plates passed around, jokes told, stories shared. At one point, Dad stood up and raised his glass. "To unexpected guests," he said, smiling at all of them. "And to the reminder that family isn't just who you're born to, it's who you choose to open your door to." Everyone clinked glasses, some quietly, some with big grins. Later, when the guests had settled down to sleep, I found Mom in the kitchen, washing the last of the dishes. "You knew this would be a lot," I said. "Why did you say yes so easily?" She looked at me and smiled the same smile she had the day before Christmas. "Because," she said, "years from now you won't remember if the house was messy or if the food wasn't perfect. You'll remember how many hearts were warm under this roof." I thought about the laughter, the stories, the small moments of comfort we'd shared. About Lena's smile, Daniel's music, the twins' whispers, Sarah's booming laugh, Mark's shy gratitude. Our house had been fuller than ever. And somehow so had our hearts. One day before Christmas, Mom had smiled and said, "Your sister's friends are staying with us." What she really meant was, "This Christmas, we're making room for more love."